Live from the Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky, and around the world at www.wkkqfm.com. This is the first edition of the 2015 Mix 96 Tri-County Sports Hour. My name is Steve Black. I'm your host this year. I was your host last year. And welcome. Good to be back here again. I'm going to introduce my co-host here, Mr. J.T. Elliott. J.T., welcome back.
Thank you very much, Steve. You can also listen on the WKKQ app, so be sure to download that to your smartphone. It is by far the most wonderful time of the year, Steve, if you remember that Christmas song, because athletic directors tomorrow will flip the switch on the Friday Night Lights.
Exactly, and again, we could talk a little bit about what we're doing with the show here. We could talk a little bit about what happened, last year. There were some really great things that happened around the area, especially in football and a lot of other sports as we go through. But JT, we got a couple of guests here at the table, so I want to give a chance to introduce them. First, this gentleman over here to my left, and by the way, when I say my left, this is going to be recorded on YouTube. And it's going to be a Falls Auto Group YouTube page. So when you get a chance after tonight, you'll get a chance to go there, Google it, you'll get a chance to see the show. So I know I have a face for radio. Hopefully you'll have a face for YouTube. So as we go on. So our first guest here tonight, he's going to be my co-host on the Friday Night Football Roundup show that is on our sister station, 1019 Nash Icon. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brandon Bargo. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for the opportunity to do this, and I'm ready for football season just like everybody else is.
Excellent. And our other guest this evening, you guys may know him from around the Tri-County. A Hall of Famer in some regards. Maybe we'll talk about that later on. But he is a sports reporter for the Times-Tribune here in Corbin, Kentucky. Mr. Les Dixon. Les, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it, and ready to see what you guys have to talk about.
What we got, so hopefully we can bring it come strong tonight, right?
Yeah, you guys will, I'm sure. I know Bargo.
There you go. If nobody can, at least Bargo, right?
That's right.
All right, well, just a little bit about the show if you're listening for the first time. This show is to promote not just football, but all sports in the high school realm. Right now, football is majorly on the docket, but this fall we've got volleyball, we've got soccer, golf, other things happening. This show will be going on into the spring as well, the winter. We're talking basketball, cross country. We got, I think, even some fishing too. Is going on, and so basketball. So there's a lot of going on, and we want to promote everybody here in the Tri-County area. All 7 football programs, but there's 8 schools in the Tri-County area as well. So we don't want to forget Barberville. By the way, if you don't know, Brandon is a senior at Barberville High School. So we'll be promoting everybody and having some fun with that. But JT, why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us what's on the agenda tonight for what we're going to do this evening?
On the docket tonight, we're going to preview each of those 7 Tri-County football teams for the 2015 season. We're going to break down what it looks like for this upcoming year for them, as well as give our season predictions. And speaking of predictions, we were 62-7 last year, 92% in predictions last season. Y'all are taking to the banks. Picks of the week for week 0. And then we'll end with a roundtable discussion with our 2 guests, Mr. Les Dixon of the Corbin Times-Tribune and Big Game Brandon Bargo over here of the Football Roundup Show. And we'll do some topics of interest just to discuss the Tri-County teams, the players, what we can, maybe some surprises. So a few topics of interest in our roundtable discussion.
So 62-7, right?
62-7.
So you put that record up against anybody around here, right?
I believe it was the best in the Tri-Counties last year.
Best in the Tri-County? Well, somebody may have something to say about that later on. We may talk about that. So, well, let's do this. Before we get started on our preview with the football teams in the Tri-County, I want to just take a small break as we get ready for that. So we'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96.1 FM. Back here at Falls Auto Group here in Corbin, Kentucky. We want to say a special thanks to General Manager Richie Grigsby for allowing us to be here into the Chevy showroom for the Tri-County Sports Hour this year. So something new. We were in a different location last year, so it's good to kind of branch out and be somewhere else and have fun that. And also the people here in the showroom can hear what's going on, so we got to keep it clean here, fellas, all right? So we keep it above board. So, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get our previews of our 7 Tri-County teams here in the area. JT, we'll let you take it away and we'll go from there.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, let's start right at the top of the program that, without a shadow of a doubt, has been the best in the Tri-Counties the past 4 seasons. That'd be the Jackets of Williamsburg High School. Yes, they did lose a lot of production. You just can't replace a Skylar Griffith. You just can't replace a Fred Massey, a Corey Sheldon. You get the picture. But Jerry Heron knows you can't recreate the wheel either. There has to be some adjustments to that pistol offense that they run.
Now, JT, there's a lot of returning players, got a high amount of repetitions last year. You talk about that a little bit.
It's a good point, Steve. Basically, the entire second half of games, the reserves played, though that always wasn't against the opposing team starters either. You have to keep that in mind. The question is for this season, who contributes? Who is the guy in the shadow who emerges as the leader for the Yellow Jackets? It could be Alex Poor, it could be Alex Patterson, Hagan Hahn. Someone's going to have to step up. Even with that playing time from last year, it comes into question because you weren't playing against starters. So there are some questions there, and there's few players with that starting lineup experience. We know Austin Husky, he's going to be a big statistical profile on defense. That's a big strength for them. But I don't have a concern about that, and I never have a concern about Williamsburg's offensive and defensive line. Jerry Heron was a lineman. He does good with linemen. They're always foundationally strong up front. It doesn't matter if they're sophomores, juniors, seniors. They're always solid on the line with Heron. Now, blocking does come into question with losing Massey in their ability to block. That's a huge replacement. But here's the deal for Williamsburg. Here's what it comes down to. The Jackets won't go undefeated, but they can still make a run. If you look at 2013, they made it to the state title game, and they were 2-2 at one point in that season. And the key for Williamsburg, to me, is how they respond to the Paintsville game, because they haven't been outmatched against a Class A team in the last 2 years, except that state title game against Mayfield. I'm not saying they win or lose against Paintsville, but that's a chance that they come out with a loss there. So how do you respond? Will it rattle their confidence, or they respond and play through that adversity, what we're used to seeing from Jerry Heron teams? Also, watch out for Pineville. They're solid. Bart Elam's done a great job there. And honestly, most of the people I've spoken to believe Pineville is going to beat Williamsburg for the district title. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
I've got them defeating Pineville and winning the district championship, again, keeping that district title in Williamsburg. I think Hazard is dialed in to win the region this year, though. I've got them going 9-4.
Excellent. Now, before I bring the guest in to give their take on this, tell us a little bit about Jerry Heron, a little bit more about Coach Heron.
Well, let me just say this. Jerry Heron is a class act, and I've been wanting to get this off my chest since that state title game last year when they lost. He took the entire blame, saying we adults, we coaches screwed up this game for the kids. I love that he completely took everything on himself, taking this exposure off the students who maybe missed extra points or fumbles, put it all on him, and that, again, is just a class act. I cannot applaud Coach Heron enough for that.
And I think for high school football, that's one of those instant classics with Mayfield. I watched that game online, and I don't have a rooting interest around the area. I'm kind of want to be, down the line, but I was cheering for Williamsburg that day, and it was a great experience for them. Came up a little short, so hey, maybe they can get back for a third time. Brandon, your take on Williamsburg's this year after all those great athletes are now gone, it's a new crew.
Well, like you said, they're losing Griffith and Shelton, and those guys, they've had a remarkable run at Williamsburg. The past 2 years have been amazing, basketball and football too. But, they're going to be young, and it's going to rely on Alec Poor, the quarterback. He's a sophomore, and he had some playing time last year, and he's just going to have to learn use what he learned from last year and use it this year, and he's just going to, like I said, he's going to have to learn.
All right, Les, your take on Williamsburg's chances this year as they go into with a new look.
Williamsburg, they'll do pretty well. They probably play their toughest schedule they've played in the last 4 or 5 years. Alex Patterson actually was announced as starting quarterback today, so he'll have to carry the load there at the quarterback position. Plus, they got a transfer in that's probably the most athletic player on that team. He'll be able to play wideout position and I believe they said tailback position some, so he'll help. But the schedule is not going to help this year, and having Husky back will help. I don't see them winning the district. I think Pineville will. Pineville only loses 2 players from last year's team, and I think they'll make a first, second round run in the playoffs. But this is Hazard's regional to lose this year. Raceland's to lose for the semi-state. Williamsburg, though, they'll have good 6-4 season, regular season, 5-5. You know, they'll start off tomorrow against a very good Lexington Christian team. And, you know, assistant coach Guy Moore's coached at Baylor, head coach at Kentucky. I just think it'll take them some time mid-season. They might start doing some things. But, yeah, I mean, you got to look who they lost.
Yeah.
They lost the KHSA Male Athlete of the Year in Skylar Griffith. I mean, you know, not just him. They lost Jefferson Patrick. They got to look who they lost. They lost Corey Ship. They lost like 98% of their offense.
Well, I was looking at some things today, and you got Skylar Griffith, Corey Shelton, Fred Massey, Chase Lowry, Michael Rose Creekmore, Jefferson Patrick, on and on and on and on. And Griffith, Shelton, and Massey combined for 103 touchdowns last year.
In the playing time that the JV, the junior varsity players got last year, of course they basically got 2.5 quarters of action. But you know, when you're playing sports and you've got a 40-point lead, you're playing a whole lot different than when you're in a must-win situation. And it's going to be totally different this year when you have to perform and when you know if you give up a touchdown, hey, I still got a 36-point lead to worry about. I mean, it's totally different. The playing time is good, but it's totally different when you have to get out here and perform, you know, this year.
And it'll be interesting to watch this year as they go along. All right, JT, let's go on to the other team in that area, Whitley County.
Yeah, let's talk about the Colonels. All I've heard about the Colonels this summer is one name, Luke Woods. Luke Woods. If I can describe Woods in one word, it's this: elusive. He is dangerous outside the pocket, nearly 2,000 yards through the air, but he also picked up 700 yards on the ground. Very dangerous player. He has 3 athletic threats to get the ball to downfield. That's Tyler Downs, Nathan Jackson, and Jacob Paul. Now, in the preseason, that offense hasn't looked that crisp, I don't think, but they're very athletic on that side of the ball. Jason Chappell knows offense, so I don't worry about the offense. They're going to turn it on. I mean, he puts up a lot of points on the boards. The Colonels averaged 29 points per game last season, and this year I think they increased that production by at least a touchdown. So at least 36 points a game I think they can put on the scoreboard. On defense, they fly around the football, and they are very physical. Expect a lot of production from defensive lineman Daniel Wolford. Now, my prediction, 6-5 for the Colonels.
So looking for a winning season for the Colonels. Brandon, a real quick take on the Colonels?
I think their season relies on the offensive and defensive lines, because last year their offensive line really struggled. But you know that some of that's going to have to go back to Luke Woods, because I think he can manage a struggling offensive line, because he's one of the better players in this area, if not the best player in this area. And I think he has the ability to put Whitley County on his back and give them a couple wins.
Very good. Les, a quick take on Whitley County?
Well, the Colonels lost both of their leading rushers last year, except for Woods, transferred out. If Luke Woods is going to be your leading rusher this year, then you're in trouble, because this is Class 5A football, and he's going to he's going to take a pounding. You better be able to establish a run. A lot of his work is scrambling, finding someone open, but the key to another key to Whitley County's success is its defense, and they're going to have to outscore someone. Of course, it's easy to say to win, but I mean their defense at times just big play after big play, so their defense has to be improved. Coach David Mitchell, he'll be in charge of that. You know, they have Cotton Adams back helping them. That's huge. He's won a couple of state titles at Corbin back in the heyday of the Red Hounds run. You know, and Coach Chappell's got some new assistant coaches on the staff too. Ricky Boland, one of the top quarterbacks ever, you know, in the state, yardage-wise. We'll see, you know, what they do, but the key is defense, run game and defense. If you're going to rely, Luke Woods is an outstanding player, but if you're going to rely on him to do everything in Class 5A football, that spells trouble.
All right, very good. Thank you, Les. Now, JT, let's go on to our last team in Whitley County, and that would be the Corbin Red Hounds.
It's Haddock's Hounds Part 2. It's Justin Haddock, the head coach of Corbin, his sequel season. Offensively, I know Corbin graduated a lot, but I am comfortable with the offense. They will get that offense dialed in. One reason for my confidence is the O-line. This is the second year that line has learned the zone blocking system. If you're not familiar with that, think zone defense in basketball. It's not man, but it's space. It's designed to get all your linemen moving in unison and creating double teams. So the line should be more familiar with that concept and able to keep Cameron Sizemore healthy, which is important. The offense also, how that offense is set up. The quarterback always has the option to run. Every play has the option to run. They will continue to run that spread offense, which Haddix is known for.
Now, I know you're very technical when it comes to things like this, so can you explain a little bit more about spread offense to those that haven't heard that term?
Spread means that you spread the defense horizontally using 3, 4, even 5 receiver sets. It allows you to go vertical in the passing game, and it gives you multiple seams to throw in. One key is that the quarterback always has that read option, so he is always able to run the football, so you're getting that space. You're creating space. Think a little bit like soccer. You're attacking space. It's the same thing. Now, we've talked about Sizemore. Haddix has placed the franchise tag on him. They will develop role players over the time. They're young on that side of the ball. They'll take a few lumps, but that offense will be running smoothly by the time district play comes in. Corbin's greatest strength is by far their defensive line. All their starters return. Caleb Parker, Cody Evans, Josh Hampton, Andrew Reedy, and Harley Lambert, who is a juggernaut on that side of the ball. Lambert could be your Tri-County Player of the Year. He'll wreak havoc on quarterbacks all season long. They play a 40D, and the entire objective of the 40 defense is to pressure quarterbacks with your pass rushers. Now, right behind their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. They're young in the secondary and at the linebacker positions, and it took the last half of the season last year of the last game to expose that defense. Louisville Central showed that Corbin does not blitz, which allows quarterbacks plenty of time to find their receivers. Not pressuring the quarterback last year cost them a region championship and a chance at a state title. It's a young but solid team overall. Mark my words on this, Steve Black, Brandon Bargo, and Mr. Lesson Dixon. Justin Haddix will lead Corbin to a state title game, but it will not be this season. This is Bell County's year to win the district and region. The Bobcats have offensive lineman in Nathan Murray. He's top 5 in the state, signed with Ohio University. And Peyton Collette, he's an experienced quarterback that can expose that weak secondary of Corbin. I've got them going 9-4. They'll see Bell County twice.
So 9-4 on the season. Brandon, real quick, anything to add?
You know, you're talking about the spread. Corbin always, you have to have athletes to run the spread, and Corbin can always put athletes out on the field. You know, they have Tucker Jewell and A.J. Moore, and those guys are juniors, I believe, and Sizemore will be a sophomore. They're young. They'll have room to grow. And like he said, I do believe they'll go to the state title game, but it won't be this year.
Okay, very good. Now, Les, this team lost a lot of firepower last year. Jake Kopic, Kenny Hopper, Corey Taylor, William Reedy, some of the top players on the team. Are they going to be able to fill those big shoes this year?
No. The spread's not going to happen as much as people might think this year. If you watch the Corbin scrimmage, first off, Cameron Sizemore has what blood in him? Does anyone know?
Dalton Sizemore, Winsburg quarterback.
Goes a little further. His uncle coached Corbin.
Mike Whitaker. He's a Whitaker, and I'm telling you, this kid, his cousin plays at Leslie County. Kevin Whitaker, one of the top-notch quarterbacks in the state. Their success is going to be key. Their success is going to run through the defense, like JT said, but Cameron Sizemore is going to have to carry the load. Not only is he going to have to carry the load, because I just don't think he has the targets right now this year that they had in years past, but they will in the future years. I think you're going to see a running back by committee. They've got a lot of good, Tucker Jewell's one. They've got a lot of good talent back there. And I also think you'll see Cameron do a lot of his work running the ball. He's a strong kid, but the key to Corbin's success early, with a lot of teams in high school football, defense is always ahead of the offense. I think Corbin's defense will carry them for a while, and Cameron will come along. I think by mid-season, Cameron will be a very good quarterback, but it might be because of him running the ball more, not because he can't throw the ball. It's just you've got to have wideouts. I saw, a lot of drops
in the scrimmage. So, I mean, will Corbin make a run? The key game for them is, I believe they do play at Bell County. The winner of that game will win the district. The winner of that game will basically
Probably be at home.
probably, well, they'll have, the home field there. I think Corbin can make the region title game. I think Corbin will win the district. And I also think they'll make another run to the state semis.
All right.
I think they'll win the region this year because I think Cameron Sizemore will improve as the season progresses, but it might not be just because of his arm. He's going to have to run.
All right, very good. Thank you all very much. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And we come back, we have 1 county down, 2 to go. We're going to go to Laurel County and focus on the teams in that area. You're listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here at Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky, and on Mix 96.1 FM. Live from Falls Auto Group here in Corbin, Kentucky. Also, we're being filmed tonight for YouTube, so later on you can get on the internet, look up Falls Auto Group YouTube page, and see what's going on here. See this pretty face, a face for YouTube now, Steve Black. So I don't know about that. We'll see as we go along. Well, we've talked about Whitley County schools and Laurel County schools. We're left with Knox County schools. So first off, JT, let's talk a little bit about Lynn Camp's chances this year.
The Allen Harris era officially begins at the camp. It's a program with a brand new field house, complete with a new weight room and locker room. Also new coaches. They've added Sam Miller as offensive coordinator. He won numerous state titles at Corbin Middle School, helping Brick Jackson there. Here's what to expect from the Wildcats. They will run a lot of power and blast from the wishbone formation. That puts pressure on your tackles to produce, as most plays will target the C gap. The focus is blocking to the point of attack. So out of the 4 years I've covered Lynn Camp, being the public address announcer for them, this is the best that I think the line has looked in the 4 years that I've covered them. So there's some improvements there. They also have a good tight end in Caleb Gray. They will throw the ball some, maybe 12 to 15 times per game, but the key is they want to control the clock and run it north and south, which Steve Black is the only way to reach the end zone, is running north and south. Can't get there going east and west, brother. The camp is known for producing running backs, so my question is, when are they going to produce another 1,000-yard rusher at Lynn Camp? They need a high-performance running back. They got a couple of young ones in Dalton Cook and Tracy Fee, as well as junior Alex Sima. Dylan Brown is a good fit for them at the quarterback position. I think he runs that offense efficiently. The defense is a 5-3. That means they've got 8 run stoppers. It's all about stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. They allow the safety to play rover and move to the strong side of the offense. Again, to help stop the run. That's all they're worried about, is stopping the run. Tyler Emery is strong for them in the secondary. He's solid. He'll snag a handful of interceptions, I guarantee that. They've got a good defensive lineman in River Hilton. He was impressive in the Grittorama. Matt Walker is another senior who will contribute. To sum it up, they have to have some players rise to the varsity level, and key injuries could deeply hurt this team if they have some injuries. And they'll be burned against teams like Williamsburg and Pineville running that type of defense. The last time the Wildcats won 4 games in a season was 2009. My prediction is 4 wins this year, 4-7.
So 4-7. Now, before I get our guest in, just a quick plug. Coach Allen Harris of Lynn Camp, he's going to have a coaches show going on, and I believe starting next Monday from 5 to 6. Guess where that's going to be at? Right here at Falls Auto here in Corbin, Kentucky. And my man JT is going to be the host of that show, and that's going to be on WIWI 93.3 FM and AM 950. What about that, JT?
Hey, I'm really excited. Coach Harris is excited. I really like him as a head coach and what he's building there, the character of the student athletes, and that's really what it's all about. That's what we do here. That's what Les Dixon does in the Times Tribune. That's supporting the student athletes of the area, and he's building up some that are high character.
All right, that'll be the Coach Allen Harris show, again, starting next Monday, 5 o'clock, 5 to 6 on 93.3 FM, 950 AM. Real quick, Brandon Bargo, what about Lynn Camp?
I think they have the right guy in Coach Allen Harris. I think he's building that program. He's, they took over. He took over last year. They kind of did coach by committee last year, and he took over about mid-season. But I think they have the right guy to build. They will win, like he said, 4 or 5 games this year. But in 3 or 4 years, I think they'll be in the right situation and maybe win that district, because I really do believe Allen Harris is the right guy for Lynn Camp.
Absolutely.
All right. Alan Harris, the right guy for Lynn Camp Plus?
Yeah, he's my friend, so I'm gonna say yeah. So yeah, but to answer your question, yes, Alan's gonna be a great coach. But I will say this: if they're teaching to stop the run, to stop the run, to stop the run, and to stop the run, well, you got 3 passing teams in your district. So you're going to have to figure out how to stop Williamsburg's passing game. You're going to have to figure out how to stop Harlan's passing game. You're going to have to figure out how to stop Pineville's passing game. So, you know, you got to, I will say one good thing that they've done this year. They've kind of made the schedule a little bit more competitive. I think you've got to make your schedule competitive, get your kids some confidence. I believe I saw they had Jenkins on there, teams like that. Get them some wins under their belt. And that's what Lean Camp needs right now. They just need some confidence. They need confidence. They're automatically in the playoffs. So you need some confidence. The thing is, when you go in the playoffs, if you can't get that 3, 2, or 1 seed, you're getting hazard first game. And that's, if you're going to hazard, that's just a tough situation. But to answer your question on maybe wins, I think you could maybe see 3 wins. 3, 4 wins. 4 wins would be very good for Coach Harris, and I hope they do it because these kids at Lean Camp want to win, and they're good kids. Every program's got good kids, but these kids really want to win. I want to see them, be successful this season. So 4 wins is possible.
All right, very good. So 6 schools down, 1 to go, and that's Knox Central. And for those who don't know, I was the public address announcer at Knox Central for football, still in for basketball, but we'll talk about another show that we're doing. Brandon and I is going to step away from the football part of it to be part of another show. But a little bit about Knox Central. Now, this is a team that is coming off their first district championship in the program's history. So big things happening down there in Barberville. Scotty Russell in his 5th year at the helm for the Panthers. Again, the team went 8-3 last year, got into the 2nd round. Some key losses from that team, kind of your all-world, if you will, Matthew Barger. He's kind of like the athlete of that program, and he could do it on offense and defense. But one of the things I think Knox Central lost was some key players on the offensive and defensive line. People like Alex Sprinkles, Kendall Frost, Corey Owens, D. Castle, Sammy Waltz, they're all graduated now, so some new people are going to have to step in for that. And it could be led by the senior Blake Hinkle when it comes to line play. Now, some of the players coming back, junior Jackson Stewart back at the helm at quarterback, last year completing about 45% of his passes, passed for almost 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns on the year, but also can rush the ball, almost 400 yards on the ground. But with Knox Central and with Scotty Russell, Mr. Football back in the day at Everett, he loves to ground and pound, likes to run that ball. And you got players like Arthur Donovan, I believe they call him Doolittle, nicknamed Doolittle. He's a sophomore coming back. Jared Hall sees some good playing time. If Jared can stay healthy, he's going to be a menace there with that team. And he played in all 11 games last year, even with injury. So he's coming back for his final campaign. We may see some stuff out of sophomore Jamel Carton as well. But also senior Frankie Robinson, going to have to do some of the replacement there. Barger at wide receiver. I'm looking at big things from Tanner Wells as well. Played tight end, had a pretty good season last year as well. On the defensive side of things, Matthew Smith, Jared Hall leading the team in tackles should be good there for the Panthers. Now the thing about the Panthers is, they got a lot of people coming back, but they seem to be kind of young, as well. So it's kind of hard to kind of read them. But here, I'm just going to get right to it. Here's my prediction. I want to see what you guys think about this. So, this last year, district title, first time. I think with the schedule that they have, and it's a pretty tough schedule now. Record-wise, the teams that they're playing this year were only 61-59 last year. But again, we're talking 2 6A teams in Bryan Station, Henry Clay. We're talking some 5A schools, Pulaski Southwestern, and also Harlan County. And then you've got Corbin at the end of the year. But the thing about it is, with the district the way it is now, with Knox Central, I think they'll win the district again. Now, regular season-wise, I think they're going to go 6-4. But here's the thing. Boyle County and Langston Catholic are no longer in this region. West and East Jessamine have come in now, and looking at things, and again, based on some records of last year, anything can happen. I think Knox Central can make a run at the region title this year, and I want to say go 9-5 with another district and their first ever regional. Brandon Vargo, what do you think about that?
You know, I kind of agree. I think they'll probably win 5 or 6 games. But another thing, I really want to see how Donovan Arthur does this year, because last year he really came out of nowhere. He was a freshman last year, and I know mid-season he was getting 2 to 3 touchdowns per game. And I'm really excited to see what he can do with a full year under his belt and a full year to go.
All right, JT, real quick, region championship?
I've got them going 6-6 with a district championship. I think they're a year away from a region championship. If you watch them play in the Gritterama, Tucker Woolham of Pineville tore their secondary apart. Too many blown assignments. They've got to get that fixed if they're going to progress. Especially, they've got to have it fixed by the time Henry Clay comes around, or Devontae Robinson and company will put running clock on them if they don't have the secondary fixed.
And I think the schedule is kind of fit like what Williamsburg had in the last couple of years, kind of built themselves up, play some tougher teams. I think that could pay off at the end. Real quick, Les, what do you think about my prediction there? Am I any good? I don't know.
You're not good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm going with JT on this one. You look at you said their opponent's record combined was 61-59 last year, but you take away Clay County, who was 1-10, take away Russell County, who was 1-10, then you got 59-39. They played the toughest schedule in the Tri-County. No doubt about it. You got Louisville Central on there, Class 3A runner-up. They played the toughest schedule in the Tri-County. They'll win 5, maybe 6 regular season games. I can see them win their first round of the district. I think they'll fall in the second round of the district real quick. The kicker on the Knox Central is they got to stay healthy. And that Corbin game always scares me at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I would try to schedule someone a little bit easier, and if I was Corbin, the same way. It's a rival game. You try to avoid those rival games last game of the season. And, just they need to stay healthy. But I think they'll win a district championship, but I think they'll fall in the second round district. I think they're a year away, like JT said.
Very good. Now, thank you. Now, that's our preview of the teams in the Tri-County. Now, one more thing before we go to break. You can listen to Knox Central football action all season long on this very radio station. DC Turner going to be your play-by-play man, and so every Friday night or occasional Saturday, he'll be on the call for Knox Central football. So tune it into 96.1 throughout the football season and catch out DC calling the Panther action. Now we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. We come back, some real quick predictions for this week, and see what we got going there, and then maybe a couple of discussion questions. So again, we're broadcasting live from the Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky. You're listening to the Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96.1 FM. Back at the Chevy showroom here at the Falls Auto Group in Corbin, Kentucky. This is the Tri-County Sports Hour here on Mix 96.1 FM. We have been talking football preview. First we talked about the Whitley County schools. Now we're going north, up the I-75 up to Laurel County. And so we got a couple of schools up there that got football programs. JT, one of them, North Laurel. Let's talk a little bit about their chances for this year.
Hey, I've got a sales pitch for North Laurel Jaguar boosters. Create a t-shirt that says Chris Larkey is my favorite football coach, or that says I love Larkey, because you'll be selling out of them by the end of the season. He's the winningest coach in the 23 years of that program. 90 wins in the history of the program, 33 of them due to Larkey. So a third of their wins have come in just 6 seasons under Coach Larkey. First coach to have 3 winning seasons, first coach to ever win a playoff victory, and this season is another stellar season. Stephen Nelson, he will get a lot, and let me say that again, a lot of touches. We know that. I truly say when all said is done, he will probably be your Tri-County Player of the Year. I expect at least 1,600 rushing yards from Nelson this year. My issue is this: Larkey's teams run the I, which means you run off tackle until it works, and North runs the ball efficiently. However, if a team loads the box, especially if they risk having no safety, North will struggle. To win the district, they have to play more than 2 wide receivers. Reason being that it makes teams not load the box. I think they have enough support in Tanner and Tucker Sharp and Cole and Jake McWhorter to make that work. They have some defensive standouts in Casey Burkhart and Mason Sherman. My biggest question is, can they replace Keaton Kennedy? That was a huge bonus for them. Anytime that they were in the 20 or 30 yard lines, they were automatic three points. They have to beat Mike Holcomb, state championship coach, and Letcher. But that game is played at the Jungle. I think they win their district championship, and I think they go 10-2 this year.
Wow, just keep going up, and I know, Coach Larkey and that program has really been on the rise over the last few years. So, JT saying 10-2. What say you, Brandon Vargo?
I think he's correct. It's going to rely on Steven Nelson. They're going to line up in the I, and they're going to have Jake McCorder as fullback, and they're going to have to tell him to hit the linebacker and tell Nelson to run behind him. They have to do that. I think Cole McCorder, Jake McCorder's brother, will be the starting quarterback. He'll be a sophomore. He's going to be young. He'll have to have time to learn, just like a bunch of other quarterbacks in the area.
Very good. Les, your take.
North is coming off a great season, and a lot of people get a lot of hype. And Coach Chris Larkey said this to me yesterday, get a lot of hype because of the success they had last season. What people tend to forget is they lost Jake McFadden. They lost lots of talent off last season's team. And this is a sophomore group. This is a team that's going to have a sophomore group of 20 sophomores. And most of those sophomores are going to play. And in Class 5A football, if you got to rely on sophomores, you're going to struggle here and there. Cole McCorder, sophomore quarterback. A lot of people are talking that he's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks in North Laurel history. And I've seen them all, and he could very well do that. North's trying to win their first district championship since 1994. And they have the talent to do it. A lot of people is just penciling them in Letcher Central, but in that district you cannot leave out Wheeler County. But the big kicker is, folks, you cannot leave out Harlan County Black Bears or Perry Central. Harlan County stubbed their toe last year. Eddie Creech has got that team going. I watched him play. I mean, they just came up to Corbin and played Corbin in a tie and did a fantastic job. This district is basically a 5-team toss-up. Do I think North will win the district? No, because I just think they're a year away from making a big run. And honestly, this year, if you win the 1 or 2 seed in North's district, you're going to get a win more than likely. After that, more than likely, it's going to be hard to get a win because you're either going against Southwestern Pulaski or Pulaski County. But it does nothing but make you better for the future. North Laurel this year could get 6 wins. I see 6 wins. If they win more than 6, then it's been a very successful season.
All right, very good. And North going into a new district this year, it's kind of redistricting, so that ought to be a really competitive district. Speaking of a really tough district, JT, let's go to our other team in the Laurel County area, South Laurel, and let's talk about their chances this year.
South Laurel, Les sort of already talked about it. They are in that, in soccer, we talk about the World Cup and the group of death. This is like the District of Doom. They're in with defending state champion Pulaski County and defending district champion Southwestern. But again, that's why you play the game, right? Anything can happen on Friday nights. They automatically make the playoffs. That's a place they've only been once in the past 5 years. And speaking of playoffs, they've only advanced in 99 and 2005. They've made the playoffs 9 times since 1998, which means they missed the playoffs 8 times. Their record against North when making the playoffs, 7-2. So it's a pivotal game. Even if it's not a district game, it's still a pivotal game. And it's also the First Priority Ball. StudentsReachStudents.com, Tim Bargo on First Priority, great ministry there. Take that along with the Cardinals on their 4th head coach in 4 years. And it's just not a good tone to start the season in. But let's forget the past and let's focus on the present and the future. And that's Matt Harp and Jared Grubb. They're going to get the majority of